Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of 2 Point Conversion. I'm John Thompson alongside my co host, Nico.
Yo.
We're excited today. We're excited to catch up with you guys. Great weekend of football, some baseball to recap. We'll go through the usual, our favorite games, favorite players, a little Monday Night Football preview, and then we'll get into some playoff baseball, which has been, depending on who you're a fan of, really exciting so far or pretty disappointing. So we're excited to get into it. Nico has some great notes for his favorite game of the week, and I'm excited for him to get into it. So, Nico, why don't you take us away and get into your favorite game of the week, bud?
I'm very excited right now. Very, very excited. You know why, John?
Tell me why.
The Giants are 4-1 for the first time since I think this is the best record since 2009. Or 2008 when we went 5-0.
Wow. I mean, we've been suffering for a long time, and it definitely feels good. It definitely feels really good.
That's a year.
We got the Giants lights going today. If anyone watching live can tell, our boy Cam set it up for us. Shout out Cam.
We got the red and blue. Shout out Cam.
The red and blue lights going. Nico's thrilled about it. Big smile on his face this morning walking into class Monday morning.
Especially since our professor is a Packer fan, it kind of just like put a nice little joy in my life.
And he was talking a little bit of smack. What did
he was biting his lip a little bit. You know, he's thinking about what happened. You know, obviously, if we're going to put it into realistic terms, we shouldn't have won. Obviously, they've been a better football team.
Packers were 8-point favorites, I think. 7-point favorites.
I think it was 8-point favorites. And I mean, obviously, people were doubting us, but this is a new G-men squad.
Definitely.
Different.
You feel the energy, the next man up mentality. Nico, why don't you bring us into the stats and then we'll break it down a little bit more.
All right, let's break it down. Here we go. We got Giants, Packers, technically at Packers in London.
In London, yeah.
We got Giants, Packers in London. Beautiful London game, 9:35. Did you catch the entire game, or were you busy?
I caught the second half.
The second
half for the first half.
I mean, that's the better. We had obviously Giants are a second half team. So, all right, we got Daniel Jones, 21 for 27 with 217 yards, getting it down, gritty. He's bleeding on the hands.
Showed some toughness.
He's bleeding. He's obviously hurting from the ankle last week, but he goes out there. He produces points, puts everything out on the field, uses his weapons. I was really impressed with how he looked.
So impressed by Daniel Jones. Big note you have here. No turnovers again by Daniel Jones. He looked tough. He got the job done. Something we haven't seen from Daniel Jones is his ability to come back. You know, like usually it's the defense, the special teams, and then Daniel Jones will ease his way to a victory when we've seen him win. That's how it's been this season. You know, nothing crazy, but 10-point deficit at halftime. Daniel Jones leads, excluding the kneel downs. 3 of the 4 last drives went for touchdowns. So huge shout out to Daniel Jones. He's playing for that contract. He was on the field, all banged up. Receivers were out. No Tony, no Wan'Dale Robinson, no Galladay. Wide receiver 1, David Sills.
He's putting it out there. He's using what he has. He's using his weapons. Darius Slayton came back with a great game, which I'll talk about.
Slayton had a good game. Let me one more note on Daniel Jones. You caught the whole game, correct, Nico?
Yeah, I watched everything.
You're watching Daniel Jones. Quick decisions, which is something we haven't seen.
It was the first half. It was kind of getting into the swing of the game. It was obviously, you know, we've been rough first half all year, I would say. Pretty much every game. Getting to those decisions in the first half were rough. You know, it was a little slower. Incompletions, Packers defense was pushing on us. But second half, he was locked in, making the right decision.
Exactly.
Going through his progressions, if they're not open, he was making some.
He was looking 1-2. If it wasn't there, he's taking off, which is really smart because O-line is still getting there. They had a good game, but O-line's still getting there. Not quite in a strong point of the offense yet, but they're getting there.
Yep.
And Daniel Jones, option 1, option 2. If it's not there, he's taking off, or he's throwing a line drive. Accuracy looked good. Very pleased what we saw from Daniel Jones.
And I guess it's kind of like common knowledge now, and I see a bunch more people talk about it now than ever. But people are starting to get into the swing of Daniel Jones. Like even haters are starting to realize, all right, he's not as bad as he seems. He hasn't been given the best offensive line. He hasn't been given the best options, but he's making it work with what's there.
And changing coaches every year. So great job, Daniel Jones this year, showing some maturity, getting the job done. Huge win. Your next guy here, Saquon Barkley. Give us a little insight there.
Saquon Barkley, 13 carries, 70 yards. Not a great outing, great numbers, but just the way we used him was smart.
Definitely.
Put in the red zone. Obviously, we know Danny's a little hurt. He can't be as mobile, but he was making plays. Saquon in the Wildcat.
Yep, love that.
Get the blockers going, score touchdowns, and that's what we got. He got 1 rushing touchdown on that Wildcat.
Caught a big pass too at the end of the game.
That's the game. That was the game-winning drive right there, where he was able to rush it in the Wildcat for the Giants on the 5,
awesome.
I think, or 5 or 6.
Yeah, way to utilize Saquon. The offense coaching. Huge props to Dable and Mike Kafka on their utilization of Saquon. Like you said, our quarterback's banged up. How are we going to get it in the end zone? We'll direct snap it to Saquon. Give the ball to your best player, put it in his hands, and let him get the job done.
I mean, I agree 100%. That's our best player. Undeniably best player, undeniable freak athlete, freak talent. I got someone in the chat. Oh, George is here. He said, "Don't worry, I'm here."
Our loyal listener. Thank you.
Our loyal listeners out there. But yeah, I mean, Danny obviously picking his target. He's back to Darius Slayton, 6 receptions, 79 yards. That's huge.
Yeah, that's
having
big.
Slayton performing as a deep threat and as like those quick options is huge for Danny. He obviously is more confident with him than anyone else. And I think
big bounce back week for Slayton. He had 2 drops, I think, last week, or one was a PI, so it didn't count. But
it was like 2 targets, 0 receptions, or something.
It was a tough week for Slayton, and then just to have that next man up mentality of not not getting down on yourself, not giving up on it. Okay, put your head down, go to work. I got to step up for my team this week. He did a great job. So that goes back again to the coaching. Great culture they have.
I mean, I agree. I mean, Slayton back to the top performer. Wan'Dale's out. Kenny's out, even though he does nothing. Richie James was still in. He was still, getting. I think he got like 3 catches or something like that.
Solid.
But nothing compared to what Slayton did. I'm, really stoked about what he's doing. And we got down here that obviously in the first score of the game, I think it was an end around. It was like a kind of a double play.
Reverse. Yeah.
It was a Danny flip to Saquon, flip to Daniel Bellinger into the end zone, first touchdown. I like that out of Bellinger. The tight ends have been going crazy this year.
Love the way they use the tight ends. Like you said, you got to get nifty. Got to get nifty. Got to get creative in the red zone against the Packers. And our touchdowns came on a Wildcat and a double reverse. So whatever it takes to get the job done, I'm all for it. Love the play calling there.
Absolutely. I mean, I agree. And we got so now with this win, the Giants have beaten both number 1 seeds from last year's playoff, the Packers and the Titans. How do you feel about that?
It feels good. It's like even the Giants haters out there. Okay, yeah, we beat the Bears, whatever. Oh my goodness, whatever. But we knocked off 2 number 1 seeds, teams that have been consistently, historically really solid.
They might be different teams than they were last year, but when we're not out here saying that they're number 1 seeds. The Giants are number 1 seeds for the playoffs this year, but they're not bad anymore.
We're just telling you what the numbers say. The Giants beat the 2 number 1 seeds from last year's playoffs. Those are quality wins. I think those wins help so much for the Giants' young players. Turning around this franchise, like a guy like Evan Neal, Kayvon Thibodeau, to be part of that. No Giants rookies have been part of a season like this since 2015, maybe all the way back with Eli.
It's huge. I mean, the Giants' defense was doing its work too. Rodgers was 25 for 39, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's a big game, but obviously reigning MVP.
Hold him under 250 is impressive. That's
Rodgers is a dog by all accounts and
every metric. He's just got that
every
dog.
metric. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
You look every metric, dog, passing yards, dog.
Straight dog. This is one where I found this stat is probably my favorite out of the game. We got Jones running for 13 carries for only 63 yards. That's huge for the Giants defense. Holding Aaron Jones to 63 yards is huge.
Yep.
Not having a big game, holding him off. I love that. Without Leonard
our run
Williams,
defense has been one of my favorite parts of the team.
I'm very proud of what they're doing, and it's just impressive. Giants led the game in possessions with 32 minutes. No turnovers again. This could be a negative and a positive. No turnovers for Danny, which is very positive. We're waiting for that turnover on the defense. There hasn't been an interception. There hasn't been a fumble recovery.
Wow, really?
And yet in the season, which is, take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, 5 games.
Let me ask you a question about that because we got a recovery on a punt. Does that not go into the metrics?
It doesn't go in as a
It goes like a special teams play.
It's a special teams play, but going it.
Yeah, because I was looking today
it doesn't
too.
count as a defensive turnover,
special teams thing. Okay,
fumble recovery or interception. So it goes under.
That's something I've been following too, is the turnover difference. And yeah, like you said, we're not turning over the ball, but we're waiting for the defense to start forcing some, which is something, you know, with Wink Martindale, that blitzing defense that he runs, we're still waiting to see. But as long as they can, like, no complaints about the defense here from me. You're not going to hear me complaining at all about the Giants defense. They held the Packers scoreless in the second half. The only Packers points in the second half came off of a Giants intentional safety with 10 seconds left in the game. So to shut out Aaron Rodgers in the second half.
And those big blocks, you know, I just bought a Kayvon jersey. Very excited for him. He had a elite block with his head on Aaron Rodgers in that closing drive. And then on the other side of the ball, you know, he's like, all right, I'm not going left now. Kayvon's over there. I'm going to go right. Xavier McKinney comes up, big and tall, big hands up, blocks that.
That's what doesn't show up on the stat sheet. So like we were talking about, we haven't seen those turnovers show up on the stat sheet, but the Packers had a chance to tie the game with under 2 minutes left in the game. Back-to-back batted down passes, what Nico was talking about. One by Kayvon on third down. The following play, one by Xavier McKinney on fourth down, which it's not going to show up in the stat sheet as a turnover, but it might as well. I mean, it might as well be. It's a turnover on downs, no interception, but we batted the ball down, gave it to our offense, ran a minute and a half off the clock. Game over.
It was huge closing out that game. That's the whole thing about Coach Dable, was like,
play 60 minutes.
Play 60 minutes. Very impressive from him.
Yes, very impressive.
I got a couple stats so we could close this out and move on to your game, but we had George say that he put money down. He'll put money down if AB gets suited up today. He'll be instantly the best receiver in the league.
Oh,
I don't think he's allowed, you know, in the country anymore. But we're gonna have to figure that out later. But we got Packers had a 86% chance of winning per ESPN before kickoff. Those are, you know, whatever. But just want to throw that in there. And
one more stat for you: Giants are 3-0 in London.
3-0 in London. First ever game in London they played. Was the first ever game for the NFL in London, like
with Eli back in the day.
Yeah, we won that game. Continue undefeated.
We start going to London more.
Yeah, we should.
Beautiful town over there.
Play every week.
Let's
anywhere if we play the Packers anywhere out of the country,
Rutherford smells bad.
No, yeah,
we'll go to London, man.
Anywhere out of the country, Packers fans don't show up. That's what we got. All right, let's go to your game. What do you got today?
I had Saints versus Seahawks. My favorite game of the week, 39-32. This was in New Orleans. Big win for the Saints. Both teams are now 2-3 on the year, but the Saints were beat up. No Jameis, he's ankle and back injuries. No Michael Thomas, and no Jarvis Landry. My man Taysom Hill comes through, has a huge day. I mean, you see my
game too. We'll talk about it later.
My notes here for Taysom Hill. It's Taysom Hill running, Taysom Hill passing, Taysom Hill special teams fumble recovery.
I mean, and that's one we'll get to it later. Like, I want to get to that later.
Definitely.
About like what fantasy talks to him about. Like they put him down as a tight end,
which has been an issue before.
Which is like, well, no.
But if that guy's available in your fantasy league, pick him up and start him at tight end for as long as.
There should
strictly
be just
flex.
No, just flex.
You can only play Taysom Hill at flex.
Like that's just what he is. Like I just feel like a tight end is just bonkers to me to have someone like that producing numbers.
I will say so about this game. The Saints were coming into this game 1-3, kind of struggling without Sean Payton. You didn't see that kind of crazy offense that even they had last year without Drew Brees, but they still had Sean Payton. This game looked like, oh my goodness. Excuse me. Saints offense can really get some things done. I'll give you some stats. Taysom Hill, 9 carries, 112 yards. That's good for a 12.4 average, 3 rushing touchdowns. He looked awesome running that option play.
I mean, this is just insane. I mean,
he threw a pass.
What you get from these stats is that the Saints completely ran down
the
Seahawks. I mean, Alvin Kamara, 23 carries for 103 yards.
He caught the ball 6 times too for 91 yards.
I mean, that's a total. That's a total of 194 yards. That's huge.
Oh my goodness! I'll get so this game had 834 yards of total offense. As soon as I saw that, that's what made me pick this as my favorite game of the week because it wasn't a superstar studded cast. It wasn't your Chiefs, your Travis Kelce. It was Geno Smith versus Andy Dalton, and a game had 834 yards of total offense. To me, that's awesome. That's what Sundays are all about.
Superdome was getting wild.
That's awesome. If you had the over in this game, you were sitting there smiling the whole time. Chris Olave, the rookie wide receiver for the Saints, continues to impress. He had 4 receptions for 54 yards and a touchdown, which
I believe. I mean, I think he's out. I believe he got knocked out in that game.
did he really?
And one of his catches, I think
I was watching the highlights again. I did see him go down.
In his touchdown catch, I believe he got knocked out on that play.
Well, we hope he's okay. I'll look into that a little more later.
I saw him go kind of loose.
Oh, wow.
He caught it loose, dropped the ball, and they reviewed it, but they still ruled it as a touchdown. But I'm pretty sure he was.
Big news coming out of this game is Seattle starting running back Rashad Penny is out for the season. That news came out today. He has a broken
former Giant Rashad
fibula,
Penny.
And he's out for the season. So that leaves rookie Kenneth Walker taking over a much bigger role. They've been easing him in. He had a good game. Kenneth Walker, 8 carries, 88 yards, and a touchdown.
What's the Seahawks record?
2-3. Seahawks are 2-3.
You see, that's not as bad as I thought it would be. Losing Russell Wilson, I don't think
people were saying that they were going to be the worst team in the league, tanking this year. Pete Carroll possibly last year.
Well, we'll talk about the worst team in the league.
2-3. Geno Smith went 16-25 for 268 yards, 3 touchdowns and no picks. He looked really good. He was running around in the pocket. Tyler Lockett and DK both had 5 catches to lead the team. Tyler went for 104, 2 touchdowns, averaging 20 yards a catch. Super impressive. He finally looked like that Tyler Lockett that was cooking with Russ for so long. Yep. Sick grabs over the top, great angles. DK had 5 for 88 and a touchdown. So Geno clearly has some chemistry with those guys. But Taysom Hill stole the show in this one. He's
absolutely.
a Swiss Army knife.
George said, Max said that Taysom is one of one.
He really is. And
he's the only player in the league that's doing what he's doing.
He has struggled in the past, though, to be consistent. We've seen this where he goes 1 week insane, and then 1 week if you key on Taysom Hill, but he's a hard guy to tackle. He's
again,
big.
I don't think that it's really his fault. It's play calling at that point because, he fits a certain play call.
Definitely.
Right? And if that team you're playing against doesn't fit that play call, he won't play, and he won't perform. But if you're going to take advantage of this team's defense,
weak run defense.
If you're going to take advantage of that, you use someone like Taysom Hill, who's just like, you'll pop him in and he'll do his job.
I like there was a time period where we started him at quarterback and it didn't really work out. But to use him as a Swiss Army knife, okay, 3rd and short, we're going to run the option in the red zone. He looked insane yesterday. He had a really good day.
Absolutely.
Jameis Winston is looking to come back next week. We'll follow that. He's got back and ankle injuries, kind of beat up. But Andy Dalton and Taysom Hill, not a bad combo. 39 points on the Seahawks. That's all I got for that game.
I mean, Max, I think that's a great point. He said that Taysom wouldn't be effective if he was consistent. Because if you're playing him consistently and using him consistently against multiple teams, these teams are going to start suspecting it. Mm-hmm. And when they suspect it, they get play calling against that, and be like, all right, we're gonna mic Taysom Hill. Obviously, we know that the ball's going to him at this point. But if you use him less, that means that they can't pick up on it.
So you have to be very picky about when you use him.
You got to be very picky about when you use him and against teams that you use him against.
And we'll follow that as the season goes on. But 2-3 for both teams, 834 yards of total offense. That was an awesome game. Looking forward to see what Kenneth Walker can do now as a rookie number 1 running back. He was great at Michigan State. Put up a sick highlight tape. If you have time, my listeners out there, check that out. He's a great running back. I'm excited to see what he can do.
I'm excited to see what they do with him too. And 2-3 is not it is a losing record in the league, which is tough, but it's not a terrible record for what this team's been through.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to see what he does for them.
Yeah, excited to see. Moving on, Nico, you got some good fantasy picks this week. Starting off with our guy.
We just talked about him, so we can kind of graze over him. Taysom Hill, 36.2 points, 9 carries, 112 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, like we just talked about for the past 5-10 minutes. I mean, he is just an animal beast, and like nothing's.
And let's not great. He is special teams, fumble, recovery. That's awesome.
They throw him in, and they're like, "Do something," and he's just like,
"I'll get it done.
I'll get it done. Throw me in a running back. Throw me in a wide receiver. Throw me in a quarterback. I don't care. Throw me in as punt returner. I'll do my job, and it doesn't matter."
This next guy you have too, he had himself at one of the most insane stat lines I've ever seen.
I want you to picture this. It's Sunday. I'm relaxing on the couch watching all the football games. You got Red Zone on after the Giants win, feeling great. And I look up, and Josh Allen at the 3-yard line steps back and throws a bullet to Gabe Davis, 98-yard touchdown. Gabe Davis, what?
I know, and the Steelers' defense has been notorious in years past for not giving up that big play, whatever.
They got pummeled this game. I mean, they really got worked, and it wasn't funny because I know, a lot of Steelers fans I know were like, "Oh boy," it was a bad.
Because they're not, dude. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season in 15 years.
Yeah,
in
he's also
Pittsburgh.
had a quarterback for 15 years.
But Gabe Davis comes out. Don't blitz Josh Allen. If any defensive coordinators are tuning in to this show right now, don't blitz Josh Allen. He will burn you. Gabe Davis will burn you. Stephon Diggs will burn you. Don't blitz him.
The top of it, it's not even done yet.
But you don't blitz him, and then he runs for 15 yards. You do blitz him. He throws a dot over the top.
And then, hey, let's try it again. Maybe this time it'll work in the second quarter or the third quarter, whatever it was.
Nope.
Gabe Davis, 62-yard touchdown.
Yeah, he was unstoppable. They couldn't touch him.
At that point, he had 2 receptions. One was 98. One was 98. One was 62. 2 receptions. He had 30 points by the time I could even think.
Before your fantasy even updates, Gabe Davis has got 30.
Yeah, he's got.
You've already lost that week. You're crying.
I see. He got 3 receptions, 171 yards,
that
2 touchdowns, a 57-yard.
That is a
average.
Randy Moss type stat line right there.
57-yard average.
That's insane, man.
Which is insane.
So, watching this game,
32 and
watching this game, I know this is specifically about the players and our top fantasy picks. We do this segment every week, but watching this game, Nico, are the Bills clearly the best team in the NFL?
They went through.
They had that tough loss against the Dolphins.
They've been, since the beginning of the season, people have been saying that they're the best team, but I don't know if I could say that what happened with the Dolphins. I'm gonna have to see it again against a great team. I think the best team in the NFL as
it was Kenny Pickett's first ever NFL start.
You gotta give him some leeway. I think
no
the best team
TJ Watt.
Yeah, the best team in the NFL are the Eagles at this point.
Right now?
Yeah.
5-0, fair enough. I mean
the
it
record,
hurts to say as a Giants fan.
It's not fluke games. They're beating their opponents significantly. 5-0 isn't a fluke.
5-0. Cardinals came out yesterday and gave the Eagles.
Do I think they'll end the season as the best team? No, but as of right now, they are.
Okay, so right now, Eagles, that's fair point. That's a really good point. 5-0, you can't argue with that. The numbers don't lie. You got one more pick for us. Let me hear it, the old man.
All right. Take you back to 1995 or whatever season it was. The flu game of Michael Jordan, right? You remember that? You weren't alive.
I wasn't alive, but I've heard about it. If you
remember that, you heard about that, the flu game or the food poisoning game.
It was 98 maybe?
90, whatever it was. It doesn't matter. That's not the point of the story. The flu game. Welcome, everyone, to the Tom Brady divorce game. We have 27.7 points on 351 yards, 1 touchdown, going 35 for 52.
Wow. 52 pass
against
attempts.
The terrible Falcons, but this is the divorce game.
That's what you're calling it, the divorce
game? This was the divorce game. Tom Brady and his wife obviously have set up to get a divorce. And he came out on the field and was like, all right, here's 400 throwing yards.
I can't believe I thought the days of watching Tom Brady throw the ball 52 times were gone. But, man, he is still going. He's still got that arm on him. I'm sure he's icing it, though. I'm sure he's icing it a little more than he was when he was 25 versus 45. But good for Tom Brady. The Bucs needed that. The Bucs needed after taking a beating from the Chiefs last week.
You think every ball he's throwing, he's like, Giselle. And he's just like mad at her constantly.
I don't know. I don't know if he
bombs.
If it was someone else that had a supermodel wife, I'd say maybe. But you're talking about Tom Brady, the most locked-in, winning quarterback in NFL history. I think he loves the game of football so much that nothing's going to really hold him back from doing his thing,
Yeah. All right. We got a couple minutes. Let's get through yours.
I'll run through mine quick.
I'll run through yours. No, we got like 6 minutes.
We're making good time, though.
Yeah, we're making great. I want to put one thing in so we can get by that fast. I know George said it before, and said Team Giselle. All right. I'm not even going to talk about that. But Matt Rule fired as Panthers head coach. Everyone kind of saw it
tough
coming.
tenure.
Yeah, he's got a really bad losing record. Panthers are, going through it. Baker Mayfield
was not the answer. He was not the answer.
What are you going to do? Obviously, I'm a Baylor fan, college football fan. Matt will take you back.
I don't know if he'll find another NFL coaching job.
No, you come back to college. I'll take you back.
When he was hired, I was a big fan of the hire. He turned around that Baylor team. They brought him to the Panthers with Joe Brady, who was the coordinator of that historic 2019 LSU team with Jamar, Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow. And I was like, wow, okay. They're bringing these young minds who have made a big statement in college. They're going to try it out in the NFL. Never really worked out. The personnel was never really there for them. McCaffrey was never really healthy for them. And they gave it one last shot with Baker, and he wasn't the answer. So
I don't think that Matt Rule is a bad coach. At least, maybe, obviously, college, he's not a bad coach.
I think he'll find another job
in college.
He really
turned around that Baylor team, but in college, he'll find a new team. I
think
the NFL is going to be fit for him.
I think he will find another job in college football, and I think he'll be successful. We'll follow that too as it goes along.
Seems like a good guy.
Okay, my picks. Starting off, I got Breece Hall, running back for the Jets, rookie running back for the Jets. He had 18 carries for 97 yards, 1 touchdown, and check this, Nico, 2 receptions for 100 yards. That's good for 27.7 PPR points. And get this, the stat line would have been even more insane, another 12 points, but on both of his receptions, he was tackled at the 1-yard line. That is painful, but also as a manager, fantasy manager, you can't be upset with 27.7. I played against him. He was my opponent's flex this week, and he feasted against that Dolphins defense.
Your Dolphins defense is good, and I really like what he put out in the field. But I guess I'm not sold on the Jets. But that was a great performance.
But his connection with Zach Wilson is getting better every week.
It definitely works.
And if you have him in fantasy, I'd say continue to start him because he's just going to get closer and build more of a connection with Zach Wilson.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think, the rest of the offense is questionable, sure, but what they have is undeniable.
They need to figure out that O-line. Yeah, I was a big fan of Mekhi Becton.
And it doesn't even matter. With a bad O-line, he's putting down numbers.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Mekhi Becton coming out of Louisville, and he's out this whole season. They need to get a real solid left tackle for Zach, work on that O-line. But Breece Hall, what a really good game. Looking forward to see what he'll do the rest of the season as Zach Wilson and him continue to grow closer. My second fantasy pick of the week. Not sure if you'll be a big fan of this one, Nico, but I had to throw him on there.
I mean, whatever.
The Dallas Cowboys defense.
I don't understand this.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. They allowed 10 points to the defending Super Bowl champs. They had an interception, 2 fumble recoveries, 5 sacks, a fumble return for a touchdown, and a blocked punt. That's good for 22 points from your defense in fantasy football.
But the Rams aren't the same team as they were last year.
They're still the defending Super Bowl champs. They still got Stafford and Kupp.
Yeah, but no one else.
But it's not like this is a fluke game from the Dallas defense. They've been eating.
Dallas, I understand. Dallas is
we talked about
undeniable. Like their offense may be in question with the Cooper Rush thing. They're putting up points. They're winning games.
Yeah.
But their defense is undeniable.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show when Dallas was playing the Giants, and we said that Dallas defense could be a problem. They have Dan Quinn, the former Atlanta Falcons head coach, and he was the defensive coordinator for the Legion of Boom. And I think, Nico, he's going to get another head coaching opportunity after this season.
He obviously should. What he's doing.
He runs a great defense.
The defense is incredible. I mean, the defense is really, 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 talented, and just these skilled players they have. Parsons, Diggs, Lawrence. It's crazy how
it's scary as a Giants fan, but Dallas. The years past, since they've had Dak Prescott, Nico, hasn't it felt like Dallas is going to beat you on the offensive side of the ball? They're going to let you score 28 points, but they're going to score 35. Now we're seeing a Dallas defense that's holding the Rams to 10 points. It's scary. And I think the Giants, I don't know when we play Dallas next, but start doing your homework now and figure out ways to beat this defense because they are looking pretty scary.
Rams beyond mid. Dallas is bad. I mean, I don't think Dallas.
You can't call the defense bad.
I don't think Dallas
can't call the
defense
bad.
But I think they could lose one. I think they could.
They're causing turnovers.
Could have beat them.
Yeah, we could have won that game, but the Dallas defense has been solid this year. And then I got one more for you.
Yeah, let me hear that.
Austin Eckler, running back for the Chargers, 16 carries, 173 yards. That's good for 10.8 and a rushing touchdown. He had 4 catches, 26 yards, and a receiving touchdown. No Keenan Allen yesterday. Eckler stepped up big time. Huge come from behind win for the Chargers. I know fantasy managers are happy about this one, as Eckler was going as a top 5 guy in most leagues. So good for Austin Eckler, the undrafted man. He had himself a day.
35.9 points is great.
Yeah, 35.9.
Having it, I don't know how his rest of his season going because I don't have him, but that's a great. Obviously, 35. I don't know if it's just like a one and done, but definitely.
No, I'll look to see more of this. It depends how the receivers get healthy and whatnot, but he's showing he can help out Justin Herbert. He could be deadly in that running game as well. So those are my 3 fantasy guys. I like those picks this week from both of us. Gabe Davis, Taysom Hill, not names you normally hear, but they had some big weeks. And
it was a very good weekend of football. I agree. But let's get to tonight.
Yeah, tonight we got an AFC West
and stuff.
AFC West duel in Arrowhead in Kansas City.
1-3 Raiders going against the 3-1 Chiefs. Obviously, let me rattle off some stats so we can get to the conversation.
There's some ugly stats on here, Nico.
Yeah, we got Pat Mahomes, obviously, the freak of nature, freak athlete. 97 for 146 on the season, going for 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions.
Wow.
On the other end, we got Derek Carr, 94 for 145, just under 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. It's almost 50-50 on him. He hasn't had a great season so far. Phenomenal season, being 1-3. He's kind of only targeting Davante and only looking at him, which makes it harder for him to kind of expand the ball a little bit more.
When you look at those numbers though from Derek Carr, 1-3 doesn't seem. Yeah, there's the 4 picks, only 6 touchdowns, but
when you have Davante Adams on your offense, it's easy to get those numbers. You know what I mean? But I want to agree. I agree with George. Kelsey, I'm going to put it out there. I know we just finished talking about fantasy. Kelsey and Jacobs must have a fantastic start and game tonight. I need them to win my fantasy league. You want to read the rushers?
Yeah, Josh Jacobs is leading the way for Vegas. He's got 70 carries, 336 yards, and 2 touchdowns. On the other side of the ball, you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 41 carries, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. So nothing crazy. Obviously, both of these teams are pass-oriented, but we saw Jacobs go off last week. Maybe the offense looks for more of a 50-50 split, or maybe they lean on Jacobs a little more tonight. We'll see. And then on the receiving side of the ball.
Who's obscure highlights?
Not sure. But on the receiving side of the ball, Davante Adams, like you said, he's leading the way for the Raiders. 26 catches, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns. Travis Kelce, same amount of catches, 26 yards, 322 yards. So he's got about 30 more than Davante and 3 touchdowns as well.
What's up, Robert?
I who it was. I'm not loving this matchup for the Raiders. Prime time in Arrowhead. Mahomes and the Chiefs looked awesome last week against the Bucs.
We can read these stats, but I want to talk about it for a second. What the Raiders have been doing, they're like a super skilled offense. Obviously, with their talent, they have Hunter Renfrow, Davante Adams, Josh Jacobs, Darren Wall. It's just Derek Carr. The list goes on. The problem with that is I don't think they've gelled really together yet, and they haven't been. Obviously, last week playing against the Broncos, I believe. Josh Jacobs had a great game. He was Darren Wall
beat the Broncos last week.
Derek Carr was moving the ball around, which I really think he needs to do. Rather than just utilizing Davante Adams, you have to utilize other players that you have. Josh Jacobs is a phenomenal running back. Waller is a phenomenal tight end, top 5 tight end in the league. Hunter Renfrow is a great slot receiver. You have to use.
You got to get creative.
You have to get creative and use them.
This feels like, Nico, a must-win game for the Raiders. 1-4 in the AFC West that has the Chiefs, the Chargers. Broncos have been below mid. They've been pretty bad this year, but this feels like a must-win game for the Raiders. And a Monday night primetime game in Arrowhead, I just don't see it happen. I got some stats here that kind of back that up. Last season, the Chiefs beat the Raiders 41-14 in Week 10. 3 weeks later, they beat them 48-9. That's good for that. They outscored them 89-23. I just have ... ouch.
89-23
in 2 games. That's not even over a couple. That's 2 games, 89-23.
I really don't understand how a team could lose that bad. Obviously, it's the Chiefs. The Chiefs are
in a span of in a span of 4 weeks.
And they were more powerful. They were more, skillful back then with obviously Tyreek Hill. But I don't see in any way
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
how
saying.
they
I
win
just
this game.
it feels like
the
a
Raiders.
must-win game for the Raiders, but they really got to put together something special tonight. And it's like, I mean, we're just two college kids talking about football. It feels like a must-win game. Imagine how those players must feel.
I mean,
Season on the line.
1-3.
You don't want to go 1-4.
Dropping 1-4.
I'm sure
huge.
if we had done some more research, we could look into 1-4 teams that
made the playoffs even.
I bet it's very low. I bet that's a very small number. You're going into, like I've said this a million times, Arrowhead. Mahomes obviously loves beating up that Raiders defense.
Yeah.
You have here some good notes.
I mean,
Can the Raiders get creative, put that talented roster to use?
Like, this is what I'm talking about. I also say that, Josh Jacobs, they have to utilize him.
Mhm.
They have to run the ball. Switching up between run and pass is huge because then you could bring in the play action.
Okay.
And when you use the play action, they'll bite on the run.
Let me ask you, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Where would you be happy with Josh Jacobs' usage tonight? Are you talking 20 plus carries, 15 plus carries, or maybe even you say run the damn ball 25 plus carries?
I don't know if completely running the ball is going to be the solution. I
Got to
think
see how
that
it plays out.
I have to see how it plays out, but I think going into the game, if I was a coach, which I'm not, so I know nothing.
We're just two college kids.
Yeah, I know nothing, but I think the best course of action is start off on the run.
Early and often.
Early. Start off on the run. Obviously, utilize your people. Switch up immediately. Go to Devontae. Go to Renfro. Bring in the play action.
Okay.
Even bring in Jacobs as a receiver. But when you're close in that red zone, run the ball.
Can I ask you a question? Off the top of my head, I can't remember. I think, though, the Raiders use another running back as their primary pass catcher for third downs. It was Kenyon Drake. I think he's gone, or is it still?
I don't know.
I think he's gone.
I think
but yeah,
Kenyon
I agree
Drake.
with those points, Nico. They got to get creative. They got to mix the ball around. They got to come into this game not thinking about the 1-3 record. They got to come into this game with a lot of confidence and say, "This is our game plan. We're going to get creative. We're going to do some things." I think, Nico, I need to see them run the ball 20 plus times. Mix it up.
They don't have him. They have Amir Abdullah.
He was on the Lions for a little while. Wisconsin running back. He's been in the league for for a couple minutes.
I mean, I'm looking at a bunch of running backs here, but Zamir White, Britton Brown, McCormick.
Yeah, it's primarily Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I mean they have to run the ball. They have to utilize it. I mean, let me get your
my key to the game. I got on the other side of the ball. We haven't talked about it yet, but on defense, we talked about Max Crosby last week, had a huge week.
Yeah.
I need to see Max Crosby get after Mahomes early in this game. Last week we saw the Bucs, Mahomes out of the pocket making crazy plays. You watch the highlights from that game. There's a play he was running around out of the pocket, looks like he's going to run it, pulls up at the last second, tosses a little touchdown in. You got to get pressure on Mahomes. Don't let him get comfortable. Don't settle in, because if you do that, it's going to be a repeat of last year. He's going to drop 40 points on you. And you're 1-4.
So we got the fans. I mean, we were riding at like 9 viewers at one point, but I mean, we dropped down a little bit. But we have, the fans talking about 1-4 teams. 2004 Green Bay Packers were 1-4. They finished 10-6, but lost in the first round of the Vikings.
This was 2004.
This was 2004. Yeah.
Brett Favre.
And then
Brett Favre.
You got 2012. The 2012 Redskins, now the Commanders, were 1-6 too with RG3.
And they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
RG.
Yeah, they made.
That's crazy.
I don't know how far they
who's
went.
dropping those
They didn't
stats
win,
for us?
did
That's
they?
awesome.
I don't think they won that yet. That was between George and Robert.
Appreciate those.
Yeah,
Those are some
great.
awesome stats. It really feels like a must-win game for the Raiders. I need Max Crosby to get after Mahomes. Let him know, hey, we're not going to let you run all over us this game. It really needs to be that new coaching staff they have in Vegas. Turn this thing around.
Oh, okay.
They ran all over us last year.
So this was that was the Legion of Boom era where the Seahawks beat them in the playoffs. They beat the Redskins in the playoffs.
But that was an exciting year from RG3. He was a great quarterback for a little while, suffered from some injuries, but he's doing his thing. He's on TV. I enjoy him. I think he might be a Monday night guy. We might be seeing some
he's
RG3
a good
tonight.
announcer. Can I get your final pick? What's your score tonight?
Chiefs win this game.
What's the
Chiefs
score?
win this game 30-17.
30-17.
Yeah, they're 7-point favorites. Chiefs win this game. I don't see Mahomes is on a roll. I don't see him slowing down.
I want to think that. I'm going to be different. I got Raiders winning this game 27-14. 23.
27-23. All right.
With Josh Jacobs catching 2 touchdowns.
Catching 2.
Running 2 touchdowns, and Travis Kelce catching 2, so I can win in fantasy.
All right. That'd be awesome. We'll see what happens tonight. I'm definitely excited for this game, AFC West. But I need to see Raiders got to set the tone early. Don't let Mahomes get comfortable. Max Crosby, get angry, man. Get angry, man. Go after this guy, man.
You want to talk about getting angry? Let's talk about the Mets and the Padres wild card series. John, look up at the camera and give them a nice smile.
I can't. I feel so bad.
That's
but at the same time,
fans.
I feel bad for you Mets fans.
Terrible franchise.
But at the same time, Mets fans were talking so much trash this whole season. Mets fans, you were so cocky. You were 101 wins. You were so cocky. You were saying, we're going to win it all. We got all the superstars. We got everyone.
100 wins, 4th time in the... That's nothing. 4 times in your history, 100 wins? That's nothing.
Have a taste of our medicine, what happened last year. Our $35 million guy, Garrett Cole, little beat up, blew the game last year in Boston. Max Scherzer this year, little beat up. I got here in my notes, he had an oblique thing, couple blisters.
Oblique.
But except that here's the thing, he's not a $35 million guy. He is a $43 million man. And he led off 7 earned runs in 4.2 innings pitched in game 1. And I think, Nico, as soon as I saw that, I said, I know it's a 3-game series, but the Padres set the tone in game 1, and they got it done. They won in game 3.
I mean, we got a bunch of things. Game 1, Scherzer's out there going against Darvish. They lose 7-1. Scherzer pitched a terrible game. Darvish was locked in as always.
Mm-hmm.
Game 2, 7-3 to the Mets. DeGrom's in. Their boy, who's probably leaving coming this next season.
He's opting out. He has said he's opting out. And so here's the thing, Nico. He was set to make $30 million if he had stayed.
Yeah.
And when you opt out, it's because you're expecting more, I believe, right? That's why you would opt out. Unless it's for a change of scenery or more money.
Maybe probably to win.
I think option number one is the money, right? That's why players usually opt out. So if he's turning down 30 and Max Scherzer's getting 43.
I don't know if you've seen it, but I think he it has to do with, there's some players in the New York scene that don't like it. Joey Gallo, I think it has to do with the scene. I heard that there was some reports that he does it like fans booing and the whole Mets spotlight being in the mecca of like everything.
It's tough. It's tough.
And I think he's ready to move on. I think he is going to move on now. And he was going against Blake Snell, but I mean, that game he pitched phenomenal.
I'm interested to see what will happen because he's opting out of a $30 million. Scherzer's getting 43. I'm interested to see if some team will give him, similar to what we gave to Garrett Cole, 10 years, a little lower average annual salary.
I mean,
or if the new move for pitchers is take the 3-year deal. If Scherzer can get 43, I believe DeGrom can get 45 or close to 50. And it's tough because he really hasn't shown us anything in the playoffs. He pitched a good game in game 2.
He did pitch a good game. He kept his team in the series, but it didn't matter when you're coming in and game 3, you got Bassett versus Musgrove. 6-0 Padres. It was a complete beatdown. You got Buck Showalter crying in the bullpen, telling the refs go check his ears.
Check his ear.
How pathetic is that?
Okay. The ear did look a little sus.
I don't care if the ear looked sus. They checked him.
And it was fine.
There was nothing there, and he continued
Mets fans,
to throw heat.
If they check him and he's fine, you have to get over it. You cannot blame that for the L. They checked the guy.
I got a quote over here. I don't know if I got rid of it, but I got a quote over here from Ian Rappaport, NFL Insider, obviously, one of the most popular.
Stick to the NFL.
Stick to the NFL, Ian. No one wants to hear your dumb Mets opinions. You're saying obvious cheating on the earwax part. Obvious cheating. They checked the ears. They're rubbing his ears down.
Rubbing his sweaty ears. It was like kind of gross to see.
Large ears. He didn't cheat. He was on it. He was throwing heat.
You told me something interesting before too. What was?
So, I heard a report that sometimes pitchers like to put Red Hot in their ears.
Hot sauce in the ears.
Well, to just be like kind of like locked in, and it helps them focus. And that has a tendency to like sweat, like have sweaty ears or have red ears in that case. So that possibly could be it, or it could just be like sweat or whatever. I don't think it was spider tack. They checked them every inning. They checked him at that check. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Buck, get over it. Stop crying. Your team sucks.
Can't blame that. I mean, if you're gonna blame, Scherzer lit off 4 home runs in game 1. Wait, so Nico, so hot sauce in the ears.
Well, this is also a great thing. I got some from Ann over here who says that Musgrove said that he got a massage before the game. This could also be lotion from that massage on his ears.
Lotion. Are you gonna try hot sauce in the ears for your next test?
I think I'm gonna try it for the next show.
See if you're extra focused. Deliver us.
If I'm drilled in and I look like I'm like all like I have red sauce.
I'd be in pain. I'd be in so much pain. Hot sauce is not meant to go in your ears. I mean, there's got to be some warning label, like, dude.
some WD-40.
Oh my goodness,
it's on his ears.
So my final note against the Mets. I think Mets fans, this was a huge step in the right direction for the Mets. You won 101 games. However, can you retain this roster? You had the second highest payroll in the MLB. We know DeGrom's a free agent. We know Edwin Diaz is a free agent.
Diaz I think they lock him up, but that is huge. Huge to have him after a hard season. If someone wants to give him the money, they will. And
he's going to be a highly coveted free agent. Pete Alonso's
going to Atlanta.
Pete Alonso's in arbitration, so they're going to have to give him some money if they don't want to avoid a hearing.
And then between this, you also have to improve. This team isn't winning World Series. You got to sign your guys back and add on to it.
Yeah, can they retain this roster?
Can they retain this roster or improve this roster, which is very hard. You know, you have Aaron Judge being out there next season as a free agent. I do think the Yankees are going to re-sign him.
I hope so.
But if they don't, he's out there. And then I want to leave this section because we're running out of time. We got
10 minutes to talk about 15 minutes to talk about the Yankees series.
I want to talk about something and just say it one more time. It's just the same old Mets. Like always, they ruin their season. Mets fans, if you're listening, which I hope you are, what's your answer to this? How do you think you can improve? Because it's been 90,000 years where you've been in the playoffs or you haven't been in the playoffs, and then you get to the playoffs and then you lose.
They need to figure it out. I'm not a big Buck Showalter fan.
Of Yankee fans, we know how to win. We know the feeling of winning. It's over for you. Stop it. Your playoffs started. Your playoffs ended. Ours hasn't even begun yet.
He started off feeling bad for the Mets. Now he's like, I'm done with that.
I get angry with them.
I just get angry with the cockiness. Dude, remember when we had that series in the summer?
Cocky.
We had that series, like a mini series in the summer. And I think they beat us. They might have. I think it was a 2-game series. We split, or a 3-game series. They won, and they were talking so much smack. We're winning the World Series. We beat the Yankees. All this stuff. Calm down. Obviously, you can see. You got the tough end of the bargain. Here's the thing with the Mets, right? Same thing happened to us last year in that single-game series against the Red Sox. Like I mentioned earlier, Garrett Cole was a little beat up. 4 home runs. Scherzer led off. Garrett Cole led off a couple home runs in that game. But the thing is, we brought back a better roster this year as Yankees. Mets, let's see how you handle this.
Frank the Tank is devastated.
Frank, he was crying. He was crying. I felt bad for Frank.
I mean, I love Frank. I mean, but he was like going back. If anyone doesn't know,
there was a good Mets tweet. It was a kid said, like, walked into class all visibly upset this morning. My professor says, everything okay? I said, no, the Mets. And he said, oh, are they having a bad season? He said, no, they're having the best season I've ever witnessed. So what's the problem? And he's like, that's where I'm at. It's so tough because a great regular season, as you can see, it comes down to 3-game wild card series. It's so tough in the MLB. And I think one final point, Nico, we've been on this for a while.
Yeah.
You're going to see next year managers get really careful with their starting pitchers towards the end because Scherzer had the blister thing, the oblique thing going on.
And they also had
you might not even see star pitchers in September.
They had kind of a confusion about who they're pitching. They kind of had Scherzer going game 1, Bassett game 2, DeGrom game 3, which is huge on your part, putting your best pitcher at game 3. You might not even make it to a game 3. And then they had to move it because they lost the first game.
But I think you're going to see starting pitchers maybe 1 or 2 games in September from now on, a tune-up game before the playoffs.
I mean, I would hope
you're going to be careful because these series in baseball, no more best of 7, no more single game. It's that 3-game series. You need your best pitchers. You need them healthy. Let's move on. Yankees, Guardians, Tuesday night, tomorrow night in the Bronx.
York, in the Bronx. Your brother's going. I heard that.
He's all excited. He's amped.
One of my boys is going too. I mean, we just said that, and I just got chills running through. We got
Playoff
Yankees,
baseball.
Guardians, playoff baseball.
Best of 5.
Best of 5, ALDS, Yankee Stadium, I believe.
Yes.
Obviously, yes.
Yankees
Stadium,
have home advantage, but all the games are not at Yankee. I think it's 2-2-1.
I think it's back to the normal thing where it is 5 games, but unlike the wild card where it's all at one place.
It's 2-2-1, I think. 2-2-1.
Whatever it's going to
if
be.
it goes to 5.
But, Cleveland came in hot, finishing the series, obviously moved into that playoff spot where they were able to take the wild card, finishing the season 24-6.
Which is scary. They're hot.
And throughout the entire series, we'll get into the review about, this season series between these two. The Yankees won 5-1 over the Guardians, and they beat them in total 38-14. And this is coming into Game 1 tomorrow night. Excuse me. One thing that's on my mind is obviously we got Cole pitching, we got Quintrell pitching for the Guardians, which I heard he's very good. He's
been good recently. He's in his last 10 starts. He's 9-0.
Yeah, I mean that's impressive.
With a 2-point-something ERA. So
the thing that strikes me is the wild card game between the Guardians. They scored 3 runs in 24 innings. They went into
15 innings
15,
against
16
the Rays.
innings against
15
the Rays.
innings.
They scored 3 runs. That's not going to slide here in the Bronx. All right?
Okay.
That's not going to slide. Against Cole, against this Yankees powerhouse offense against Aaron Judge, 3 runs ain't going to cut it. The Yankees are looking probably to be extremely outscore them if they only score 3 runs.
So on one hand, like you said, the Yankees dominated the season series 5-1, but Cleveland's coming in hot. Okay. And the Mets won 101 games, all that stuff. What did we just go over all the Mets? None of that stuff that mattered happens now. So the Yankees need to check their ego. Do not go into this series remembering winning 5-1, remembering outscoring them.
Absolutely.
Go into this series. Every game counts. This is all that counts now. They're getting healthy.
Welcome to the postseason. Let's win some baseball.
And now, you know what? Now we have some guys with playoff experience. They've been here before. Let's go. Let's
there
start this series strong.
And the Guardians are the youngest team in baseball.
Wow.
They
Good
are
for them. Terry Francona, good job managing
the youngest team in baseball and doing very well. So I don't want the Yankees to lowball, whatever, but I want them to focus up.
Check the ego, focus up.
Game 1.
But I mean, we're talking about Yankees focus. We just got news today that Chapman, his time as a Yankee is most likely done.
See, now this is frustrating to me. I want to know your opinions on it too, because I could talk about it for hours. I'll tell you the story, and then we could give your opinion.
Yeah, give our listeners
Chapman
the full
was
story.
removed from the postseason roster. Okay. I think.
Tell us why.
Okay, so basically, Chapman was removed for the postseason roster because he didn't show up for a mandatory training right before, which was this week. Aaron Boone came out and said that it was not. It was an unacceptable excuse and a non-excuse.
Immature, just kind of immature. I know we haven't been playing him as the closer, but
the worst part is that he's sitting at home in Miami.
It's playoff baseball, man.
Which, you know what? For me, good. You've been playing bad. It doesn't seem like you're locked in, and this definitely certifies that you're not locked in.
Fair enough.
And we don't need you if you're not locked in. You're not the old.
Tough love. I like it.
Yeah, we don't need you. We don't need you here to win baseball.
I think that's what Aaron Boone was saying too when this news went public. You missed a workout. We're trying to focus in right now, so that maybe gives us a good sign of where the Yankees are at.
You haven't been playing great. If you're not all in like the rest of us are, you don't have to be here at all. So go home.
That sends a message.
Stay home. We don't need you here.
That sends a
message. He said stay home. He said don't even come back. Stay home.
And yeah, for those who don't know, Chapman's going to be a free agent. His time as a Yankee is most likely over.
Whatever last pitch he threw
we've
for
seen
the
the last
Yankees
pinch
has
of Chapman.
been the last
Which
pitch. And we don't need him giving up playoff games.
We never got the World Series with Chapman, but for a long time he was a really, really good closer for us. So I'm kind of sad to see it end this way, but obviously he had his differences with Boone. Wasn't happy with the way he was being used. So
I'm done with it. On to the past.
Chapman not on the postseason roster.
On to the past. Over the past, on to the future. Tomorrow night, Garrett Cole versus Quantrill. How do you feel about Game 1?
I like the Yankees. My notes for Game 1. Yankees, don't rely on the home run ball. Manufacture runs early. Steal bases. Bunt if you have to. Get creative. Don't wait for Judge or Rizzo or Giancarlo to smack a home run. You get on base, be aggressive, which is something we've seen since they've gotten Bader back healthy.
Yeah.
We've seen, Connor Falefa start to steal some more bases.
And something that I saw important that we both kind of noticed and picked up on is that Carpenter's back.
Oh, I love that.
I love
it. I love it. He brings the
DH
energy.
Spot, I love it. Brings the energy. He's a great player. I'm very excited that he's back. Him and a possible Benintendi return.
We'll
coming
see.
This season.
We'll see.
I heard it was like up in the air, but he might return this series. And if we make it, he's apparently going to return next series.
Do you like the direction that Aaron Boone went? Cole game 1, Cortez game 2, Severino game 3.
Absolutely,
Are you happy with that?
Absolutely, 100%. If anything, I would switch Severino around to pitch game 1. Severino's a dog. He's a dog.
Over Garrett Cole.
He's a dog.
He was throwing a no-hitter last time
Severino
he pitched, which is
a
what
dog. He's on it right now.
And then that would leave Tyone for
that's
game 4.
That's what happens when you have great starters.
Tyone game 4 if it gets
Tyone
game
probably 4. Game 4, yeah. Or Montez game 4, but I think he's still hurt.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was not a great trade.
But I could read the projected lineups if you want. We got right field Aaron Judge, at first base Rizzo, second base Torres. Then we got Donaldson at third, Stanton at DH, Cabrera at left field, Bader at center field, Falefa at shortstop, Trevino at catcher.
Only thing that's missing from that lineup
that
doesn't include LeMahieu.
And Carpenter, who's also
who do you give the start to at third base, LeMahieu or Donaldson? I lean towards LeMahieu. He's consistent. He gets on base. He can hit the ball anywhere. He uses the whole field. I like. It's tough.
I mean, if he's hurting, I don't want him out there.
Take the healthy guy.
If Donaldson is a elite defender, if he's not showing up on the ball, that's on the offense, it's fine. He's a elite defender, and I think he needs to be there if LeMahieu, which he is struggling with an injury.
All right. Yankees bullpen for me is the biggest question mark. We need to see.
Is Clay Holmes
healthy?
Clay Holmes is, I think, going to be okay. I think everyone's coming back into it.
He was a all-star closing pitcher.
I think that having players like Marinaccio, who I don't know what's going on with him, but having players like
Trevino had a great end of the season.
Efros, you got
Rutledge, I think made the roster.
Holmes, Britton, who had a really rough start and got hurt in that game that we went to, but I really hope that by the time tomorrow comes, we see who's healthy and we see who's not.
I'm excited,
and we're able to
playoff
get
baseball, baby.
It's
awesome. What's your series prediction?
I got Yankees in 4.
In 4.
I think they give up one game. Yankees in 4, I believe, and move on. Let's play the Astros or the Mariners.
I got Yankees in 4 also.
Yeah,
I think we let one slide. Maybe. See, I don't know what game it's going to be if we do let one slide, because I do love. I love Cole, Cortez, Severino.
Yeah,
but I see the Guardians have a lot of fight in them.
I could see a Cole game. I could see game 1.
Okay.
Which I don't want to say, but I could see game 1. And
that would be tough.
Maybe I could see a Severino game go their way, but I think we really close out this series and let's move on to the next one.
And we pray the Mariners can knock off the Astros.
Yeah, I mean they're a great team too. So we could lose to that team, but I don't want to think about that.
Yeah,
let's
focus on now.
This series. Let's win this game against a Guardians team that's been defensive heavy, pitching heavy. They have great people at bat as well.
They're going to manufacture runs, so we got to get on it.
I really hope that we play good, and by the time you hear this, we could be over with the series. Next week, we could be over with the series.
That would be good. That'd be awesome.
Or we're still fighting, and I want to talk about it next week. We got hockey coming up. And we have.
I know you're thrilled about that.
I'm excited. I'm going Thursday to the Islander game. We have hockey starting up tomorrow. Rangers play the Lightning, I believe. Yeah, and then that's pretty much it.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Today we had a great time.
Pretty good viewers. We're closing out with 7 viewers.
Oh, awesome, man. That's awesome.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Really excited for all this that's going on, and we'll see you guys next week.
Awesome. Sounds good. Take care, guys.
All right. See you guys.